The days following the Hall of Stars encounter were filled with quiet tension. Princess Arya could no longer deny the surging energy inside her. Every time Ethan was near, tiny lights flickered under her skin, like miniature stars awakening with her every breath. She tried to maintain her pride, keeping distance whenever she could, but it became impossible. Ethan, sensing the shift, approached her carefully, never forcing her to act, but always present. "You don't have to understand it all at once," he said one morning, as they walked through the luminous gardens of Lyra 6. "But I can help you learn control." Arya looked at him, her violet eyes reflecting the glow of the starflowers around them. "Control?" she repeated. "I have been trained my entire life to master my energy. Yet, when you are near, it responds differently. I do not understand why." Ethan smiled softly. "Maybe it's because your energy is alive. Maybe it needs more than training. It needs trust, connection, and choice." The words unsettled Arya, stirring a mix of pride and curiosity. Trust, connection? She had never considered sharing her starborn energy with anyone, let alone a human. And yet, the energy pulsing inside her seemed to recognize him, to respond to him in ways she could not explain. In the following days, Ethan guided Arya through exercises to explore her energy. They stood under the open sky, surrounded by starlight, and she focused on the glowing points within her. Slowly, she learned to extend the energy outward, shaping it, feeling its rhythm. Each time she succeeded, Ethan clapped lightly, not out of mockery, but genuine encouragement. "You see?" he said, "it's not about force. It's about understanding yourself and letting the energy flow naturally." Arya felt warmth spread through her chest, and a rare smile curved her lips. She had never been praised like this. Not for skill, not for power, not for anything. And yet she realized she wanted to see him proud of her, to share her triumphs with him. But peace did not last long. Among the elders of Lyra 6, concern grew. Some whispered that humans were unpredictable, that Ethan's influence could awaken the princess's powers too rapidly, causing instability. A small faction approached Arya privately, warning her that the human was dangerous, that she must distance herself before it was too late. Arya listened, but the words felt hollow. The energy inside her pulsed with certainty whenever Ethan was near. She could not deny it. The human had unlocked something within her that no one else could. Then came the day of the ceremonial bonding, a ritual meant to formalize the marriage and align the starborn energy of the princess with her chosen partner. The grand hall was decorated with crystal panels, starflowers, and light projections of distant galaxies. Hundreds of starborns gathered, their eyes filled with curiosity, fear, and anticipation. Arya stood at the center, her robes shimmering like the night sky, her heart pounding. She glanced at Ethan, who approached slowly, a calm presence in the midst of the grandeur. Their eyes met, and for a moment the hall seemed to fade. The only thing that mattered was the connection between them. The ritual began. The high priest of Lyra 6 chanted in an ancient language, calling upon the stars to witness the union. Arya's hands trembled as she extended one toward Ethan. He reached for her, their fingers brushing lightly, just as they had in the Hall of Stars. And then it happened. A burst of light erupted from Arya. Tiny stars danced across her skin, spiraling upward and outward, illuminating the hall with a brilliance no one had ever witnessed. The starborn elders gasped. The human, however, remained calm, holding her hand steadily, his presence grounding her. Arya felt the energy surge through her, no longer chaotic, no longer just sparks flickering at random. It flowed in harmony, guided by the human beside her. She felt clarity, power, and connection all at once. For the first time in her life, she understood the depth of her abilities. Her voice trembled as she whispered, I can feel it. I can control it." Ethan nodded, his hand still holding hers. "Yes, you are incredible. But remember, it is your choice, your power, not anyone else's." The elders watched in astonishment. Some stepped back in fear, others leaned forward in awe. They realized that the human had not just been a companion in name. He had helped the princess awaken fully, harmonizing the starborn energy in ways that no ritual or training could achieve. The ritual continued, but Arya no longer felt the tension of obligation. Instead, she felt freedom to embrace her power, to embrace the connection that had awakened inside her. With Ethan's guidance, she shaped beams of starlight, weaving patterns that reflected the constellations above. The hall echoed with gasps of wonder and murmurs of approval. When the ritual ended, Arya turned to Ethan, her eyes shining. "Thank you," she said softly, "for helping me, for seeing me differently than anyone else ever has." Ethan smiled, a warmth in his gaze. "You don't need to thank me. You awakened this yourself. I only helped you notice it." In the days that followed, Arya and Ethan grew closer. They trained together, learning to combine her starborn energy with human ingenuity. She discovered new abilities, levitating objects with starlight, sensing distant movements across the galaxy, even creating small protective shields. Each discovery strengthened her confidence and deepened the bond between them. The people of Lyra 6 slowly adjusted to the sight of a human walking beside a starborn princess. Some remained skeptical, but most were fascinated. The alliance that had once seemed forced now appeared powerful, promising a future where humans and starborns could coexist, learn from each other, and explore the stars together. One evening, Arya and Ethan stood atop the highest tower, looking out at the horizon. The twin moons of Lyra 6 bathed the city in silver light, and the stars above pulsed in rhythm with Arya's energy. "You changed me," Arya said quietly, leaning slightly against him. "I thought this marriage was a punishment, but you showed me that it could be something extraordinary." Ethan put his arm around her shoulders gently. "You were never alone in this, Arya. I could never have done this for you. The stars inside you, they were always yours. I only helped you see it." She smiled, a mixture of pride and relief. For the first time, Arya felt fully herself, strong, radiant, and free. Her starborn energy shone brighter than ever, reflecting not just power but choice, courage, and trust. As they watched the stars together, Arya realized that her destiny had changed. What had once been a forced union had become a partnership, a bridge between two species, two worlds, and two hearts. The stars inside her were awake, and so was she. Lyra 6 would never be the same again. Humans had entered their world not as conquerors but as allies, and the princess herself had become a symbol of possibility. That courage, trust, and understanding could awaken even the deepest, most hidden powers. And as the night sky shimmered above them, Arya knew that this was only the beginning. Together, she and Ethan would explore the stars, face new challenges, and discover wonders that neither species had ever imagined. The stars inside her glowed brighter than ever, and in that light a new era of unity, adventure, and hope had begun. Princess Arya of Lyra 6 stood on the balcony of her high tower, gazing at the endless sky. The stars shimmered brighter tonight than she had ever seen. Her people, the Starborns, had always claimed that each star carried a secret, a power that could awaken inside the right person. But for her, that power had yet to stir. She was 21 cycles old, considered mature among her people, yet the energy inside her remained dormant. Arya's thoughts were interrupted by the arrival of a message from the High Council. The holographic light flickered, showing the faces of her elders, each serious and unyielding. "Princess Arya," said the eldest, her voice calm but firm. "The council has decided. You must marry a human." Arya froze. Her heart skipped a beat. "A human?" she repeated, disbelief in her voice. "Yes," the elder continued. "A representative from Earth, a soldier and explorer named Ethan. This union is required to ensure peace between our species." Arya's hands clenched at her sides. She had heard of humans before, creatures from a distant planet, strong and daring but primitive compared to the Starborns. The idea of marrying one against her will felt like a punishment. She felt anger rise within her, a storm of pride and fear. I cannot marry a human," she said, her voice trembling but defiant. "I am a Starborn. My life, my powers, my destiny, they are mine to choose." The elder's expression softened slightly, but their resolve remained firm. "Princess, this is not a request. The council has spoken. Your union with Ethan is a necessity. You will come to understand in time that this is for the greater good." Arya turned away from the balcony, her mind racing. She could not imagine living beside a human, sharing her life, or worse, sharing her secrets. Her people revered the stars and the energy that flowed through them, but humans had no connection to such things. How could she possibly relate to someone so ordinary? Days later, the human arrived. Commander Ethan stepped onto the silver landing platform, his presence calm yet confident. He wore the standard Earth uniform, simple and practical, and his dark eyes scanned the alien city with curiosity rather than fear. Arya watched from a distance as he approached, noting his posture, the way he moved. He was not intimidated by the grandeur of Lyra 6 or the shimmering towers that stretched toward the heavens. Instead, he seemed human, ordinary in every way, yet undeniably strong and steady. Their first meeting was tense. Arya stood stiffly, her arms crossed, refusing to show any warmth. Ethan bowed slightly, a polite gesture he had learned from his studies of other cultures. "Princess Arya," he said, "it is an honor to meet you." Arya's lips pressed into a thin line. "Honor? Is this what you call a marriage imposed upon me by your people?" Ethan paused. "I understand this is difficult. I did not come to force anything. I am here because our leaders believe this alliance is necessary. I hope in time we can find common ground." Her eyes narrowed. Common ground. The words felt meaningless. How could she find common ground with someone so different? Someone who did not share her blood, her culture, or her stars. The following days were a trial. Arya found excuses to avoid Ethan, walking through the gardens alone, meditating in the temples, and retreating to her private chambers whenever he approached. Yet Ethan persisted, not with force but with quiet patience. He asked about the stars, about the energy she could not yet feel, about the temples and their ancient rituals. One evening, during a guided tour of the Hall of Stars, something unexpected happened. The hall was vast, circular, and lined with crystal panels that reflected the light of thousands of stars. Ethan and Arya walked side by side, the silence between them thick. Ethan spoke softly. "These crystals, they seem alive, almost as if they are breathing with the stars." Arya glanced at him, skeptical. "They hold energy, yes, but you would not understand. Humans are not connected to the stars," he smiled faintly. "Maybe not yet, but I want to understand." As they passed a particularly radiant crystal, Arya gestured for him to stop. She extended her hand, and without thinking, Ethan reached out. Their fingers brushed lightly, a fleeting contact, yet something within Arya shifted. A warmth spread from her fingertips, up her arm, into her chest. Tiny points of light flickered under her skin, like stars awakening one by one. Arya gasped and pulled her hand back, stepping away. What was that?" Ethan asked, his eyes wide in surprise. I don't know," Arya stammered, her heart racing. She had never felt such a surge before. Her starborn energy was stirring for the first time, and it was terrifying. She tried to hide it, pressing her palms together, willing the sensation to stop. Ethan studied her carefully. "It's okay. You don't have to explain it now, but it's incredible." Arya's mind swirled. How could a human, by mere touch, awaken something within her that had remained dormant all her life? She felt a mixture of fear, confusion, and something else, something she could not name. Over the next few days, the interactions between them changed. Arya found herself unconsciously noticing Ethan's presence, the sound of his voice, the calm way he observed her world. She tried to resist the pull she felt, but every glance, every accidental brush of his hand caused a ripple of energy inside her. The council noticed changes too. In private meetings, the elders whispered among themselves. Some feared the human might be dangerous, that his presence could destabilize the princess's energy. Others watched with quiet hope, sensing that perhaps this union could lead to something extraordinary. Arya, meanwhile, wrestled with her pride. She had been taught all her life that starborns were superior, that humans were too fragile and short-lived to understand the stars. Yet now she felt drawn to one inexplicably, despite her resistance. One night she wandered alone to the cliffs overlooking the twin moons of Lyra 6. The wind tugged at her robes, and the stars above seemed to pulse in rhythm with her heartbeat. She closed her eyes, trying to calm the storm inside her. "You're restless," a voice said softly behind her. Arya opened her eyes. Ethan stood there, hands in his pockets, his expression gentle. She said nothing, staring at the moons. "You don't have to marry me if you don't want to," he continued. "I came here to meet you, not to control you, but I think there's more to you than anyone knows. Something even you haven't discovered yet." Arya's pulse quickened. How could he know? Could he sense the change within her as clearly as she felt it? This is not your concern," she said, turning sharply to face him. "Your people sent you here for diplomacy. That is all." He nodded slowly, accepting her words but not retreating. "I understand. But I will stay, not because I'm ordered to, but because I want to help. When you are ready, I can show you that humans are not as different as you think." Her eyes softened despite herself. She did not fully trust him, and yet she felt something she could not deny. The energy inside her pulsed once again, subtle but insistent, as if the stars themselves whispered encouragement. Days turned into weeks, and the starborn energy within Arya continued to awaken, small sparks flaring whenever Ethan was near. She could not explain it, and she could not control it fully. Her pride told her to push him away, but her heart and something deeper told her to stay close. One evening in the Hall of Stars, Arya finally spoke. "I don't understand what is happening to me," she admitted, voice barely above a whisper. Ethan stepped closer, careful not to overwhelm her. "It's your power, Princess. It's always been inside you. I only helped it notice me." Arya's eyes widened. She had been trained her entire life to master her starborn energy, yet it had never responded like this before. And yet with this human, it surged and flickered, alive and radiant. She did not know whether to feel fear or awe, perhaps both. The universe seemed suddenly larger, and at the same time focused on this one moment, this one human standing beside her. The stars outside pulsed in response to her thoughts, as if acknowledging the change. For the first time, Arya realized that this forced marriage might not just be a duty, it might be the beginning of something far greater, something that could reshape her destiny, and the destiny of her people. As the twin moons rose high, casting silver light over the city, Arya knew one thing for certain. The stars inside her had begun to awaken, and her life would never be the same again.